Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the History of Fan Anime. I'm your host, William Chow. In today's episode, I'm going to do a kind of a more broad overview episode of anime magazines, okay? And so, I've done a couple sort of episodes where I kind of touched on the topic, and I've done episodes where I've shown what an anime magazine is. But someone kind of made the suggestion that, well, there's a whole bunch of different anime magazines. Like, isn't one better than the other? And I subscribe to many of them, and I found them all very useful. So I'm going to kind of go over them, why I decided to go for so many of them, and the purpose of why the overlap. Okay, so before I begin, like sometime during this video, I want you to go below and click like and click subscribe. Okay, that definitely does help the YouTube algorithm and helps support me by basically getting the video out to other people on YouTube. And if you would like to support me financially, I also have the PayPal and Patreon links below. The subscribers there will get specialized content that I can't put onto YouTube in the normal way. So I've got a whole bunch of special episodes and special content available there. The link is also below, so you can have a sneak peek and you can see what is available. But definitely, I do appreciate and thank all my patrons because your support is greatly, greatly appreciated. All right. So today's topic is about these things called anime magazines. Okay. Now, we usually go to a Japanese store or whatever, and we see them online all the time. Various different magazines which are written all in Japanese, and they talk about different facets of anime. And so you thought, okay, well, I'll just pick up one, and that should probably give me a good overview of what different things are in Japanese. Now you got to realize that at a time before the internet, okay, so let's say before Windows 95 and how browsers and that kind of stuff sort of became very, very proliferant. The only way that we could find out literally anything about Japan would be that it would have to be in print. Okay, to find out any news about stuff that happens in Japan, you'd have to get a Japanese newspaper to find any information about. Let's say, for example, let's say the TV Guide listings or something. You would have to find a printed, magazine or a newspaper or something that has the listings. Or in this case, if I wanted to know what the newest and hottest animes are, you'd have to get an anime magazine to give you that new kind of information, right? So I, during the time when I got started in Japanese animation, which is probably 1988 or whatever that, I started picking up a couple of different kind of Japanese, magazines throughout the years, on basically, trying to find out what the newest stuff in Japanese animation was, and making sure that, okay, hey, the show looks interesting, I want to get it. Now your question is, well, doesn't just buying one magazine do it? Like, it's kind of like, if you go out and buy, let's say, People's Magazine, doesn't that tell you enough about the entertainment industry that it should do everything? Well, why would I have to buy, Entertainment Tonight or whatever, and all these other magazines, right? Shouldn't one do it? Well, no, because every single magazine sort of, specializes and does a better job at certain things than others, okay? And so in today's episode, I'm going to go over a couple of different magazines and show, sort of the reasons and that kind of stuff for it. So first of all, let's just do a quick overview. So in the early times, one of the first magazines that sort of came out was an anime magazine called Anime V, okay? It's this one right here. Now, this particular magazine I picked out, and it sort of count for in many ways, because it focuses on OEVAs. Okay, it even says the new video magazine. So it really concentrates on those things that you're not necessarily going to show it on TV. It's stuff that maybe goes straight to videotape release only. And focuses on non-episodic stuff is usually what its primary focus on. So on the front cover of this particular one, you see Earthian, okay, which definitely is an OEVA. And then you can see the ads on the back is for an OVA of called 19. And like many different OVAs and magazines, it's gonna have ads and whatnot in there. It's got table contents of various different things. Usually has little stickers and that kind of stuff. In this case, this is a postcard thing that you send in, and it's actually a scratching thing. So you're supposed to be able to scratch this out, and then if you got a winning ticket or whatever, then you mail it in, and then you win stuff, right? That's usually what a lot of the promotional gimmicks on there. There's always lots of really nice posters and that kind of stuff, throughout the magazine, outlining what new stuff is, so outlining Devil Hunter Yoko as an OVA, the Record of Lotus Wars, a big featured thing about that. So this is basically to pique your interest on that kind of stuff there. Big huge article on the Hakenden, a really popular one that came out from Pioneer at the beginning with things like Tenchi Muyo and Fushigi Yugi and those things like that. Okay, there's and they said gets into obscure animes like Dragon Fist. Okay. Which I ended up buying the laserdisc for. So so that's why you'd get something like this particular magazine. I'll just flip ahead here. Usually in the middle of the magazine, after it goes through all the different new OVAs and that kind of stuff and whatnot, has usually many pages of ads. So here's the ads for Gall Force and Exterior 3. Okay. Usually has a small little poster section. Again, the front page cover is Earthian, so it has another poster section for Earthian. Okay. Usually, also in the releases, it has some sketches and maybe some diagrams of the character designs, that kind of stuff. This one's for Violence Jack. Okay. Which gives you an idea of just not only just how to draw it, but I mean, it also it gives you an indication of what some of the characters and that kind of stuff will look like, right? And like always, in the middle, it's another very important section of all these magazines is the ads, of course. So this particular section, it actually has a small little booklet here section, all the different sort of OVAs and that kind of stuff. A little bit of a brief description, and of course the pricing and that kind of stuff. And at this time, this is the most important information that you would want to get from these particular magazines. Sure, all the pictures and that kind of stuff are nice, and that's what will suck you into most of it. But the real information is gotten from this little section here. Okay, if you pour through this stuff, you'll find most of the gems that come from different things like that. This section also has usually a huge section of fan art. So at this time, people could send in their artwork or whatever, their fan art, as it were, right? Because there's no deviant art or something kind of website that people can post what they drew. So people could draw their stuff in and send it in, right? And then of course the end of the magazine is usually where they put all the new stuff, right? So here for this example, here is the City Hunter OVA for Secret Service. Okay, so again that again tells you what's going to be upcoming in the next few months. So that'll really be interesting. And of course, the end is all full of more ads for like Project Echo Versus and more Lemon Angel and that kind of stuff. Plus, it also has features on other sort of animes and that kind of stuff going on, right? And then the other really important part about this, and that a lot of other magazines don't pay attention to, is the fact that in this magazine, it has the H section for the things like Cream Lemon and all the other hentai titles that a lot of the magazines won't do. So Animedia this Anime V was really, really important at this particular time for getting that stuff. Okay, so all in all, that was the reason why you would pick the Animedia Anime V type magazine. Now, how is that sort of different than the format of something like an Animedia magazine? Okay, so Animedia magazine probably came out about the same time, if not earlier. Okay. Now, Animedia magazine, again, when I started buying anime magazines, I didn't just stick with one. I bought all like as many as I can get my hands on, right? Because I knew that the information, I could draw information on different ones. Because I noticed that as I look through the magazines, they're not formatted the same sort of way. I spot that even right away when I didn't even understand the language, right? I did spot that. So again, and I'll go through with you. Traditionally, Animedia magazine focuses more on TV releases. Okay, so it's not really a magazine about OVAs, it's not really a magazine about movies, but it primarily focuses on TV series that are going on and upcoming ones that are being possibly made or what's ever coming up in the next season. Okay, so here we have the Sakura Wars on the front cover here. And like many other things, it's got the ads and that kind of stuff. Escaflowne, it's right there. It's got usually this thing's got a whole sticker sheet of stuff so you can add, put little sticker marks and that kind of stuff on the cool stuff like that. And then it goes on and talks about some of the new animes that are sort of going on, are happening right now. In this case, it's big article on Sayuki, big article on basically You're Under Arrest, the TV series. Okay. Just like the other ones, it'll have a middle section, which usually has a really big poster or something inside. This one's got a big, humongous poster for Angelic Layer here. Okay, so more kind of clamp stuff, and then on the back of it is Inuyasha. Okay, so big fans of Inuyasha, that kind of stuff. So that's the time they're releasing all that stuff. A special Sakura Wars, containment booklet here. Okay, so it has a whole bunch of things about Sakura Wars, cards and that kind of stuff here. Okay, so if you're basically into the anime and then you want to try to collect the cards, this is your booklet for that. And then these magazines will produce a calendar. Okay, so this is the 2001, 2002 calendar. Okay, so every month gives you a new picture of something. Okay, that you can use as your feature sort of poster on the wall sort of thing. Okay, and some people do love that kind of stuff when you do that. Okay, but the most important thing that a lot of people will go to this magazine for, unlike the OEVA magazine, the middle section has had the ordering information on for the OEVAs and that kind of stuff. Well, in this magazine, okay, it has the section called Anime City. Okay, and that's their version of the TV guide. Okay, so if you're going to follow like a particular TV show, then you'd want to basically look it up in the Anime City here. Okay, and it'll tell you, with the program, what episodes they're doing during this month. Okay, what TV stations are airing it, at what time, all that kind of stuff is all with a little bit of a description of what sort of happens. So exactly what you get in a TV guide magazine. Okay, except this time instead of being sorted by the day and by the hour, it's sorted by the anime and then what days it's supposed to be, right? So it's much easier for you to follow. Okay, and so this stuff was absolutely essential for people like me who are trying to collect and watch this anime, because we don't know what episode belongs to where and what, right? We just we get it, and it's like, okay, this could be episode 10, this could be episode 100, right? We don't know. It's just somewhere in the series, right? So it's valuable that we have these kind of magazines that tell us we know where they are in the series. Okay, just like the Anime V, there's also a fan art section, which is always loves great artwork and that kind of stuff when people send those in. But then it starts getting into some of the possibly newer shows that are sort of or upcoming stuff is going to be of interest, right? So these are the next up and coming episodes of, let's say, Inuyasha. Okay, what possible things may happen. Hint, hint, hint. Here's All the stuff from the other book. The stuff for Mamote Shugoten. Okay. Ads, of course, and here's the ads for the Sakura War card thing that they're referring to, and there, as well as the back page, full of more ads. So we got Arslan, Ronin Kenshin. They're putting Golf Force into an entire box. Okay. Now the third magazine that I also started with, okay, because I initially started with 3 magazines. Oh, actually, I think I initially started with 2, and then I added this one very shortly after. Okay, is Newtype magazine. Now, I think most people are most familiar with Newtype magazine, and they probably came out with the English version, or Newtype USA, because this is sort of the more generic format of anime magazine, and it tries to be the everything, anime magazine. Okay, let's put it that way. Okay, because it tries to do not only movies, it does OVAs, and it tries to be a TV guide thing altogether, plus big media and that kind of stuff, and it kind of throws it all together into one magazine. It's probably the biggest and heaviest funded one. Okay, and that's probably why. This magazine is probably able to outlast the other 2 in terms of media exposure and that kind of stuff, because instead they've got so much financial backing for it, and I'll show you a reason why after I just tell you the difference of it. Okay, so Newtype magazine. Okay, what makes this one different than all the rest? Okay, so if you were only available to buy one of these magazines, right? Because I'm looking at the price here, it's 520 yen. Okay, so even if you convert that, that's only like $5.20 US. Okay, but don't forget that's if you were in Japan and bought it off the shelf, right? By the time you get Kinya Kinua or something like that, to get it, ship it over here, and have it on the shelf, sitting in the Kinya Kinua in Seattle's International District. Okay, this $5.20 US here, $5.20 US here, probably quickly turns into like $11 US. Okay, so way more expensive than your typical People's magazine, and at this time probably a little bit more expensive than your Playboy magazine. But but still, this is the only way you're going to find out what new and current stuff is going on in Japan. Now, so Newtype magazine is, as I said, it's kind of like if you only had to buy one, you'd probably buy this one. Okay. Now, it being, it trying to be, the does everything kind of magazine, as a result, it's not good at anything, right? Sometimes, and I'll explain why. So, like anything else, flashy front cover. So this one's for like Lost Universe, and and you can clearly see, here's ads for general ads, and you can see this is for the Mickey Mouse collection. Okay, so it's like obviously whoever has Disney has lots of money, so they can spend money on these kind of ads. Not necessarily anime, but designed for the broader Japanese consuming market. So they're able to put something in like that there. Okay, again ads and a big table of contents of things that is in this issue. Okay, so no real big difference there. Okay, and at the very front of the magazine, it's gonna go over some of the big things that are going on. Okay, so whether that's movies or TV series. Okay, so one of the big interesting things right here is the series called Brain Powered. Okay, big production there. Made by Studio Wow Wow, right? Again, big hype on Cowboy Bebop here. Okay, so again, very very another one of my. This is one of my own, personal favorite ones. Princess Nine. Of all the, I typically hate baseball stories, especially things like Touch, Miyuki, Nine, and all this other stuff. But as a baseball series, this one really was great. I really like this one, Princess Nine. Stuff that are not necessarily anime kind of stuff, like, so example, here they are, the advertising VCRs, and here's a funny commercial about kind of like Direct TV, and here's the ad for like Arnold Schwarzenegger and a whole bunch of different kind of things here. So again, broader market kind of influence. Okay. A lot more of these things, like musical kind of stuff. So this is Hikaru Shina, the VA, doing her, starting Legend tour. PlayStation game, of course, was Ever Rouge. Okay, they get into other sort of topics which are not necessarily anime based. Like so here in this particular episode, they're talking about this, Japanese artist doing artwork for like fighter plane artwork and insignias and that kind of stuff. So they just, this is just sort of another sort of thing. Again, not really anime based, but it's it's kind of cool. More publicly sort of interest story rather than just like an anime otaku interest story. The middle of the magazine again follows a lot of tries to be like an Animedia and follows a lot of the TV shows, right? So here's some of the stuff that's supposed to be new that's coming out. So here's the thing for Outlaw Stars. Okay, following the big success of like shows like Cowboy Bebop and whatnot. Again, it doesn't have any influence of whether or not to cover anime at all. So they actually put the big article on the Deep Impact movie. Okay, so again, it's more popular culture, right? So other issues would maybe focus on, let's say, the X-Files movie. Things like that. I think recently we'll follow more Marvel stuff and whatnot, just because those just happen to be the more popular things, or popular things that are going on. Much like the Animedia magazine, a TV guide. Okay, so again, some may argue that this is probably a little more concise than the one that's in the Animedia, but again, different TV shows, different stations. A little description about what's going on in each one. Quite, very, very useful information. The other useful information that again, like the Anime V, okay, it has chart listings, right? So, it has, video releases, OAV releases, CD releases, and game releases, okay, and sort of kind of ranks them a little bit so that you can kind of have an idea. It has all the new releases and that kind of stuff on the one section. So again, if you know, or you kind of have an idea what's sort of coming out, but you want to know what else is new, you can zoom right to this page, and it'll tell you, hey, these are the new CDs. Check all these out, and then you can sit there and and when I've done it all the time, right? I'll sit here and I'll go through every one of these titles, translate, painstakingly. I'll go through them, going, okay, look up that letter, look up that character. And piecing together the romanji and all that kind of stuff, and trying to put it together, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, so I know what that is now. This is how we found out the information, right? Usually in the back section of the Newtype magazine, it always has a sort of a music area. So here's the sort of the personal file on the all-girl musical group Morning Musume, which is sort of managed by the Sharon Q guy. All right, but it has different information on different artists and that kind of stuff, different CD releases and whatnot available. Again, this was also very important for me, because I was really starting getting into Japanese music and all this kind of stuff. I see videos with Morning Musume in it, Sharon Q, and all this kind of stuff. So I want to know more information about them, right? I see the pictures in here, so I figured, okay, well, let's find out what CDs are out there, what kind of music they have, and let's get them in, right? And yes, even a magazine like Newtype magazine also has, their sort of, fan art kind of section here. So a lot of, let's say, Lodos Wars, and even a little bit of Berserk there, pictures and that kind of stuff. So and some of that, but some of the artwork is just really, really good. Right? Again, full of different kind of ads. Okay, I just want to do in this episode just to cover, in a quick overview, what's similar about all these magazines, but but just that short little sort of difference that would make me have to get all three in order to make sure I cover things, completely. Okay. I'm going to do a couple more episodes after this with specific issues of each, kind of outlining, what you would find in this particular issue that's going to be different in the other ones, okay? Because it's not covered in the other ones, and specific examples that I have run across that I would have not been able to see if I just let's say stuck with Newtype, for example. I would have saw this and never would have realized this kind of information. Okay, so that's why I had ended up going all three. So like I said, I've got subscriptions of these things dating back to like 1988. Okay, of this thing, because as I said, in this particular time, especially before the anime crash there. This was really about the still one of the better ways to get the information about Japanese animation, because even the internet at that time, it could tell you about different sort of animes and that kind of stuff, but you'd still kind of have to know about it, right? So you could actually type it into a search engine properly to find it. There were no real ways that you could just sort of browse through it, at your leisure, at your pace, in an overview kind of method, so that you could kind of gloss over stuff that you didn't really didn't care about, and yet be able to zoom in and focus on stuff, and look at something very carefully once you saw something that caught your eye. Okay, much the same way you get in a newspaper, right? They say that the digital online realm is replacing newspapers and that kind of stuff, but there's certain things that you still could do very easily and very well in a newspaper that you can't do online. And one of the things is basically get a good sort of overview of news and information that's available on a newspaper, okay, that you couldn't get online. The reason is because online, you actually have to be very specific with your search result questions and that kind of stuff to find any information, right? Something like, today's news in Vancouver, right? You get, pages on pages worth of crap that comes up, duplicates and that kind of stuff all the time. And so, you might be reading the same information or same information with different articles and whatnot, and you may never really spot something that happened of interest, especially in Vancouver, that you didn't search for. You just kind of noticed that. Hey, I didn't know that the Vancouver Art Museum is having an exhibit of Transformers figurines and stuff. Like you wouldn't have spotted that, right? You just because unless the art of Vancouver Museum downtown there is sponsoring an ad or something, and that shows up on the side bar while you're looking for news in Vancouver, you would never see that. You would never know about it. And as a result, you would have never, your eyes would have never passed over it, and you would not know about it, right? That's what the convenience of a newspaper does, is that it allows you to, your eyes will scan everything that's, on the page at a certain, however you do it, whether that's, straight on in columns or left and right and or whatnot, or by pictures or whatever. You're able to quickly, discern what is not useful for you and what's eye-catching to you. And as soon as something catches your interest, then you zoom on to that, and you never know what that might be, right? Because it might be something that has to do with locality. It might have to be something with another interest of yours, not necessarily anime, whatever, or whatnot. And again, that's something that's very difficult to do online, but very easy to do with print. Okay, so that's why a lot of people still like this kind of format. Okay. So I hope you find this kind of, sort of useful. And again, I'm going to do some more episodes on, specifically about magazines and that kind of stuff, because I have to flesh out, some of the really core differences about these different magazines. But I want to show you some certain examples of ones I found that you would find really interesting. Because when I even did them and I looked at it again, I was like, it's interestingly profound that that this is how the outcome came. Even when at the time they printed this magazine, which kind of, affirmed my sort of confirmations of certain other things on how well funded some of these magazines are. Okay, so again, make sure to subscribe below to make sure that you get your notifications when I make those episodes, so that you'll know when I do that. Okay, all right. So until next time, I will see you again.